Happy Tuesday, Willie.
Happy Tuesday to you, Jimmy. How are you today?
I'm good. It's middle of the week, so I'm usually just sitting in my jammies right now. You got me working. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm working myself. Earlier this morning, I was on the No Label podcast with Christian Legion, so that was fun.
Nice. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was pretty good. I forgot to apologize for him. I was a little incoherent for a few moments because I just left work, so that's about the time I'm kind of going back to sleep, going to bed. But I held out.
You're wild. And now you're here doing this. You're crazy.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Even though I do have to go to work tonight, it's not the worst. Tuesday's not the worst day of the week to work, so it's all good.
Yeah. Tuesday, yeah. I hate Tuesdays. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. The worst. What's up, everybody in the chat? We got Mr. H. Good to see you. Warren, Dr. Nick, and Daniel Berry.
Yeah, howdy everyone. How are you doing today? Yeah. Oh, I used to love Tuesdays when I was a kid because I was a big Happy Days fan, and that came on at 8:00 back in the 70s. I know it was silly. I mean, but that was the thing to watch back then. Yeah. I don't know why I thought about it, but
Yep. My mom loved it. She loved Grease and Happy Days, just that greaser culture. She loved all of that. So I watched a lot of that stuff.
Actually, every Tuesday, because Sha Na Na will be played at 7:30 Monday through Friday. So Tuesday it was like Sha Na Na. I don't know if you ever heard of them. And then after that was Happy Days, and then after that was Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah, so
it was a good show.
Yeah, as I said, I don't know why, but I just started thinking about the 70s right there, growing up in the 70s for a moment.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so we also got Kim in the chat. Hi, Kim. We got Hirsch. What up, nerd? Hanging out over in my Discord. Good to see you. Kim says it's 67 today. Spring is coming. Warren says it's 73 in Chicago. I think it's like 45 right now here. We were just talking about it right before we got on here. It's like 45. I'm in a cloud, definitely foggy. So you said it's nice, right?
It's 74 outside, but it's drafty inside. I don't know. It's
74 where you live?
Uh-huh. But it doesn't feel like it's 74 degrees in here.
That's insane. It's 45 where I am right now. It's freezing. 67, just got back from a walk. Jeez.
Of course, I'm covered. This property's covered with trees, so that would is almost a little mini forest outside.
Yeah, I live in the forest, so there's all kinds of trees everywhere.
It's like basically the forest in the neighborhood is the house with the home with the most trees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think it's covered. The fact that it's covering, I think it's probably why it's a little bit cooler in here. That would not normally be otherwise.
You just keep it an icebox anyway in your house. You're crazy.
Well, I would if it's 74 degrees outside and it felt like it in here, it would be. I would have my AC on.
Yeah, see, that's nuts. It would be perfect. I would have nothing on. 74 would be amazing. That's like my perfect spot right there.
I tell people, I'm happy when it's like 50 between 50 and 60 degrees is my little sweet spot.
That's insane. That's so cold. My body would just die. I'd have like 4 layers on.
I have energy, it's just it's crazy. It's just how it is for me.
Yeah.
Looks like Rick is here too. Hey
What
Rick,
up,
how are
Rick?
you?
Good to see you out of
Yeah,
hell for a second.
yeah, yeah, it's
50 and
definitely not.
60 in the south is different. Okay.
Yeah, and it's probably not 74 degrees down in Texas.
No.
81. That's what he said. 81 over there, down there. A
81.
breezy 81. I can deal. Okay, I can deal with if it's breezy. I can deal with it. It's the humidity here is what kills me.
I
Yeah,
know. I've been hearing about it a lot recently. I don't know much about humidity. I'm from the high desert, so it could get up to like 115 degrees and I'm still outside doing stuff. So I'm so used to heat, but I'm not used to the humidity. I'm used to very dry heat.
you see, dry heat. I don't think I know what dry heat that much would be like, but I could probably deal with dry heat a hell of a lot better than what past for extreme crude hot weather down here in North Carolina. So
Yeah, that's what I've heard is
yeah,
humidity makes it that much worse. So I
yeah.
don't know. I'm spoiled. I've only had desert heat, so
Yeah. I have never been to a desert in my life, not yet.
what? Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Heck,
crazy. I
a
grew up
little
in a desert, like I miss tumbleweeds so fucking much.
um trivia fact. There's only two places there's only two places in Europe that has deserts.
Okay.
Yeah, can you name them?
In Europe?
Uh-huh.
I don't feel like thinking. What is it?
One, Spain.
Okay.
There's a small desert in Spain. And if you go to Russia, where the Ural Mountains are located, there's a small section of desert in the very southwestern part of uh, where the Ural Mountains begin. I mean, and like there's like a large desert area. There's like a little bit of area that's on the European side that's a desert.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah.
I
So
love the desert. I miss it. I do love being in the mountains, but I definitely miss the desert. I grew up in like the Mojave Desert with like, the Joshua Tree sanctuaries and stuff like that. So, yeah. I actually like grew up in Mojave, so that was like one of the towns I lived in. So,
okay.
I loved it. I love the Joshua trees, the cactus, the tumbleweeds. I miss so much of it. The animals like the coyotes and the rabbits and the tortoises. Oh, I used to grow up with like tortoises digging, like living in holes in my grandma's backyard. It was so cool. Being desert living is awesome.
Well, one of the things I'm going to do when I retire, and I retire in exactly 6 years, 11 months, and 3 weeks from today. Not that I'm counting down, but I really am. One of the things I'm planning to do is to go visit every U.S. state and spend at least one evening there, one night, and if I can, all the U.S. territories. It's just a project I have planned up when I retire. So I will get a chance to see plenty of desert at that point.
Yes, you will. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even Texas has some good deserts too. So
Yeah. But I'm going to try to, in the desert areas, I'm going to try to be when I spend a night in lodging, it's going to be in the city somewhere where hopefully I don't see little creepy scorpions and things like that. I just like, oh,
oh yeah, you absolutely will see scorpions. That's definitely for sure. The spiders too are fucking wild out there. You got like the violin spider and shit like that. They're absolutely insane if they bite you. Um, what's the other one? It's called a vinegaroon. My sister got bit by one when we were really young. And they're like a mixture between a scorpion and a spider. And when they
ooh,
And when they bite you or sting you or whatever they do, all you can do taste and smell for the next 2 weeks is vinegar. Like just straight up everything is just vinegar. Your entire smelling senses and taste buds are just straight up vinegar. It's nuts. The kind
I
of
will
stuff.
I would love to visit Australia, but some of the spiders that I have seen,
Yeah.
it's basically a football with spider legs. I'm like,
Yeah. Australia's got the worst spiders for sure. Yeah.
I I actually think that Australia is proof that there's life on other planets because
Yeah.
what they have out there, you don't find anywhere else in the globe.
Right. Yep.
So
No, I completely agree. They're fucking nuts out in Australia. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the spider population. I would
yeah,
have killed all of it off by now. Like, bye. I'm sorry.
exactly. So
That yeah,
yeah.
deserts have some pretty wild creatures in them too, so it gets nuts out in the desert. They also have this thing called valley fever you can get. It's like this virus that's just in the dust out there.
Ooh.
And like I knew somebody that passed away from it. It like takes down your immune system. It's just this in the dust, like you could just randomly get it or you can be immune to it. It's wild. And it's like sounds like the nicest thing ever, valley fever.
Uh, Papa Hirsch says, "Fuck Australia, wanna be Brits."
Wannabe Brits for sure. We were just talking about that because people in Australia, the accent is so fucking close to UK's Cockney accents. It's almost the same because when they talk, it's very hard for me to like understand what they're fucking saying without the subtitles. So yeah, they definitely are like
It
wannabe
sounds
Brits
like a
for sure.
cross between a British accent and an American Southern accent. That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
That's what fucking Hirsch was saying. That's hilarious because I really want to get because I have a friend, or Hirsch has a friend. His name is Cookies. He lives in Australia. I want to get him together with my friend Sally because Sally lives in Alabama. And I think those two, like just hearing them talk together, would probably make my entire year. Like, I just want to hear them talk, just conversate and figure out what they would talk about. It would be the greatest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I could sound like an Australia, but when they talk, it's like I'm gonna try to think of a sentence. It's a great day, isn't it? And that's kind of how they sound, you know.
It is. Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly how they do. Oh, it's so funny. Uh, I've been using the word cunt a lot more lately because of cookies. They apparently Australia uses that word like we use the word bitch, and it's hilarious. It's great for me because I like to see people's facial expressions when I say the word, especially Americans, because it's such an evil word still here in America. So I'm like, you fucking cunt. They're like, Jesus, Jimmy, what the fuck?
It is kind of. It does land on somebody like it's like somebody took a brick beside somebody's head or something.
That,
It's like,
hell yeah, you fucking cunt. It's so fucking funny. I love it.
yeah, I have used the B word quite a bit. I just think that the C word is too, teaches their own, but it just to me it just strikes me as a very demeaning word, you know.
Well, I have one, so I'm allowed to use it as like a term of endearment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that kind of like segue into our first story.
I don't know how the fuck that's segued, but I'll fucking take it.
Yeah, well, okay. The B word or the C word, take your pick. Marjorie Taylor Greene
That's
makes
true.
a fool out of herself at State of the Union with David Packman. I know it's David Packman, but it was on my feed. I was like, actually, let me listen to this, and it was actually okay.
All right,
We could
you're
all
right. She
agree
is
that,
a fucking cat.
yeah, we can all agree. You and I can agree with it. Our chat line and David Packman. We're all on the same page about Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think.
That's right. That's right. All right. I can't believe you're making me watch David Packman.
Repugnant Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was decked out in MAGA regalia yesterday at the State of the Union. It was so bizarre and off-putting that when Joe Biden saw it, he actually looked stunned. Here is video of Joe Biden coming around the corner and seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you will see that he reacts like he just saw a ghost. His eyes go big, and he's like, "What the hell am I actually looking at here?" And here is another angle of this greeting. You can't really hear too much of what's being said, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is filming. She's wearing a MAGA hat. She's wearing some kind of MAGA shirt.
right
She's
there.
got stickers. She just looks like a fool. I don't know what she said. Thank you something. Thank you, Biden. I don't know exactly what she said. She later described being asked to leave unless she was going to take the hat off, and she says she just stayed.
But here's what offended me. Here's what I found to be outrageous is Sergeant at Arms came up and told me that I needed to take the hat off. And I said, I'm not taking the hat off. I refused to take it off. And he said, well, it's decorum. I said, I certainly understand. You do what you need to do. I'll pay a fine. I'll do whatever, a warning, whatever there is, but I'm not taking the hat off.
All right. So she refused to take the hat off. And as we know, everybody is very impressed and very proud of Marjorie Taylor Greene. So excellent speech, pathetic reactions from right-wing media, pathetic sideshows from Marjorie Taylor Greene, essentially summing up the night. We're going to take some of your calls. On the bonus show, I will tell you about my trip to D.C. and the meeting with the vice president.
Shut up.
You may remember a few years ago.
Okay. Is that him just like talking about his own stuff now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want not to make everybody get exposed to David Packman more than they have to.
Okay.
I used to watch that show quite a bit, by the way.
I used to as well. A long time ago.
Long time ago. Yeah. But yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I mean, she certainly, lacked class. Yeah, I mean, she hates Joe Biden. I guess the stop clock gets the right time twice a day, but she hates him for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Yeah, she probably thinks there's no difference. She doesn't know who any of us are, but she probably thinks there's no difference between Joe Biden and our little subsection of the left over here.
Yeah, no, I understand. I guess she made a fool of herself. It's this like back and forth shit that they always do with each other. What was it? Didn't something like that happen as well? Like where, it was Hillary Clinton with like the thing where like the balloons. So it just reminds me of the same thing. They're doing the same thing with Biden now too.
Yes, it was funny about Hillary Clinton. When I am actually doing a video on and Hillary, I need a JPEG for Hillary Clinton, and obviously is going to be critical of Hillary Clinton. So I said I got to find a unflattering, angry, bitter, resentful picture of Hillary, and all I have to do is just pick the first picture when I go on Google.
Right. Yep.
Any picture would do.
Yep. That's so funny though. But yeah, I guess Marjorie made a fool of herself. Was it because of her screaming about the whole say her name thing?
You mean, what do you mean with Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
She made a fool. It says she made a fool of herself. Was it her yelling like the say the girl's name while he was giving the speech, or?
I think it's basically a combination of her, yapping at him and just dressing, just being, what she believes being defiant is wearing, the MAGA outfit. I mean,
Okay. What did her hat say? Because I haven't even been paying attention.
I think it was just a MAGA hat. Make America great again, and all of that.
But this is what she does too. Like that's what she does. I mean, hasn't she done that a couple other times as well? Where she'll like scream out.
Heckled him. She's. I mean, the antics that she pulls,
she does.
She's so cartoonishly hateful overall.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I wish we could find somebody who does like weightlifting as much as she does, and then we can put them in the ring together and have them fight it out.
You know that she and Lauren Boebert almost got into a fight last year, right?
Yeah, but she would have kicked Bobert's ass. Bobert has like no fucking muscle whatsoever.
Yeah, but
Marjorie Taylor Greene like can lift her own weight and shit. Like that bitch is fucking burly. She's Marjorie Taylor Greene. You don't see him very much, but she's got some fucking muscles, man. She like I can fight, and that I'm terrified like of if I ever came face to face. But the other one, what's her? What did you just say?
Lauren
What's her
Boebert?
name? Yeah, Lauren Boebert. I could take her on easily.
Yeah, but here's the thing: both of them are probably armed. They probably got a side piece on them, so there'll be some guns blasted.
Yeah, exactly. Tickets to these gun shows, baby. Margarine Titan.
So I want to use the B word. Those two bitches are crazy.
Yep. They are absolutely nuts. They're two different, like, they're the two sides of the same coin of crazy. Like when guys talk about like warning other dudes about crazy bitches, that's the two kind right there.
Yeah, and you're right about that muscular thing. Because she's anti-trans, but she looked more masculine than any trans person that she hates.
But yeah, she's definitely muscular for sure. Yeah. Throw Sarah Palin in there for a free-for-all for sure. Sarah Palin added in there, that'd be hilarious.
Well, Sarah Palin the same compared to them.
In like a cage fight against Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, that'd be hilarious.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
Marjorie, I'm sorry, dude. She just looks like she could whoop some fucking ass.
As Austin Powers would say, it's a man, baby.
Oh no. But I can fix them, Jimmy. That's what I say about guys. It doesn't work. I'm telling you.
That's so funny. All right.
All right. So title of this show. So I wanted to kind of throw this in here because it's just been hilarious seeing the internet go all in a hoopla over Kate Middleton and like this AI generated family photo that she supposedly edited and released to the public to make sure she's okay. Like everybody's doing like a where's Waldo, but where's Kate right now. And it's hilarious. I guess she went into surgery back in December, some kind of abdominal pain. I really don't fucking care. Who fucking cares? It's literally a princess, like nothing to do with my country. But it is funny to see everybody all up in a hoopla, treating her like a where's Waldo kind of case. So, and it's kind of funny to see the photo that they released because the England royalty or whatever, they always like try to save face and shit like that and make themselves look publicly perfect and shit. And it's just good to see a flub up like this and everybody taking it to like all these crazy extremes and shit. It's super funny.
Trying to dampen down speculation.
The pictures everyone's talking about, the Mother's Day snap release.
This morning, the headlines here in the UK, a picture of chaos, all focused on the PR crisis spiraling into day 2 as Kensington Palace stands firm on not releasing the original photograph. But there is another new photo of the Princess of Wales snapped by a UK photo agency, her face barely visible in a car with husband Prince William leaving Windsor yesterday. This sighting just hours after Kate issued an apology over that now famous photo, blaming her experimental editing and forcing major news agencies to kill the photo because it had been altered.
Count on your hand how many times you get a personal apology from a senior member of the royal family. There was so much adverse reaction in the media and on social media about it that I think she just wanted to calm the waters and also try and take the heat off some of her advisors.
But Prince William is keeping calm and carrying on, at least publicly, seen sharing a giggle with Queen Camilla at a Commonwealth Day service on Monday, and not addressing the PR fiasco back at home. In the last 36 hours, photo editors the world over have been dissecting every pixel of this photograph.
This is the picture that they are saying is edited. She's going to mention a couple of them, but the first thing I noticed was the fingers right here. Like those fingers just don't match up. It's just like this one's kind of half missing. This one's crossed over this one. Like it's pretty bad. Like as soon as I saw that, I kind of figured it might have been AI generated. But people found a lot more than I even found. They got some good fucking eyes.
More than a dozen inconsistencies, including a portion of Charlotte's red sleeve appears to be missing.
So yeah.
The edge of Charlotte's hair appears to...
So there's the sleeve was missing, like part of her hair right here is definitely
blur
missing.
unnaturally. The corner of her skirt
Her skirt doesn't hit her hips. It goes out straight like that.
appears oddly straight. And here, Kate's zipper and hair appear misaligned. Louis' sweater pattern appears disrupted. And look here, the edges of the tiles appear repeated.
That's another one that I had noticed too, was the edges of the tiles. Hold on. Right there, you can kind of see the tile is supposed to be a square, the gray square, but it ended up doubling up right here as like two off squares that aren't even fully there.
Yeah, and they're the royal family, so it couldn't be damaged tiles either.
Right. Exactly. So a lot of inconsistencies in this picture. Definitely, I feel like was AI generated. I don't know why they're hiding her. I think that it seems so stupid. Like, I feel like people are making it too like that big of a issue because she's just not coming out to show her face. Yeah, it's so crazy to me. We'll finish watching.
The last official outing for the 42-year-old princess, Christmas Day, just a few weeks before her planned abdominal surgery. 2 weeks later, Kate returned home to recuperate, but the palace never explained why she had required surgery, only making clear she would return to public duties after Easter. And yet, the absence of details has fueled more questions than the palace ever expected.
So many questions, you guys. And I know we, as in the royal we, all want a lot more information from Kensington Palace. But I found this really interesting. Take a look at this new poll. It is by YouGov, and it's taken here in the UK. It finds 20% say Kensington Palace has offered too little information, and 49% say it's about right. Guys, I think it's safe to say that I'm not sure we are in the 49%. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, maybe the public isn't as interested as the media is.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Molly, thank you. But let's keep talking about it.
We've got a lot to unpack. Joining us from Buckingham Palace this morning, NBC News royal commentator Daisy McAndrew. Hey, Daisy, good to see you. So we saw Kate in the car with her husband, which tells us that she's well enough to be riding around. What else did that image tell you?
I think that was yet another attempt by Kensington Palace, by Buckingham Palace, to try to reassure the public that everything is fine. Kate's up and out of bed, that we can believe what they are telling us. But of course, it hasn't.
Okay, I don't want to keep going on it because she's right. Like, the only people that are really, really interested is the media. The internet is just having a joke with her not like showing up and not being there, or not being in the public. The media, or it's just the media that's really kind of like being all serious about it and shit. I don't think anybody really, really, really cares in the world about where the fuck she is. But it's been kind of funny to see like the Where's Waldo shit. So
Yeah, pretty much. I remember the royal wedding in 1981 with Prince Charles and Lady Diana, and it was actually shown live on TV in the summer of '81, and that had a lot of views and everything like that, and the British people were just so proud of the wedding. I mean, I love England, but I don't think that they need a royal family. I don't think they need a monarchy. I think that's outlived its usefulness.
Yeah, the times have definitely changed. They have lost the I don't know, ID, the celebrity, I guess, that they used to hold. Definitely, it even seems like the kids, the boys, don't even really want, at least the one doesn't even want to be any part of being royal. He moved to America. So yeah, I think like the that like utopia of it is definitely gone and not there anymore. It's just really funny to see like the internet and people making a joke about where the fuck she is, and then the media taking it seriously, like, where is she? And people are like, she's died. They're making a clone of her right now.
Actually, interesting to me. When I was growing up, we had had a neighbor who's a retired photographer, and he gave us, and it's an heirloom today for damn sure, this large magazine with the coronation of Queen Elizabeth from 1952, and I mean it was impressive. Just flipping at a young age, just flipping across the pages and everything. And I know that thing is worth a lot of money today.
What is it?
It was a large magazine, like physically an oversized magazine of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth in 1952.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I mean the elaborate ceremony and all. I mean it's all in black and white, of course, but still, 1952 was when he was in England. He bought it, and for some reason, he just decided to give it to us. And just it's worth some money today. I mean, if it's not valuable, I'll be very surprised.
Right. No, I agree. It definitely
Yeah.
would be fucking valuable, especially with her being passed away now. I'm pretty sure it would be.
Yeah. So yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway, I guess we'll probably go with the next story.
Yeah. What is this about PragerU?
Oh, it's basically this kid mocking PragerU because PragerU is so horrible.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's called basically every PragerU video.
Basically.
Okay, let's see what it's about.
Donuts, the most famous baked good. They represent everything that's good and pure about this fine nation. But like most things, the left is trying to ruin donuts by forcing their progressive values upon them. These days, donut shops are selling donuts with rainbow frosting, clearly in support of LGBT pride. While there's nothing necessarily wrong with the LGBT community, people should be allowed to buy donuts without having a left-wing progressive agenda forced down their throats. The left isn't just ruining donuts. Over the years, more and more products have been sold in support of gay pride, from various other baked goods such as cake or cookies, to clothing, to even art. If you're still not convinced, on days after it rains, there's a rainbow in the sky, showing that the left's influence is so strong that even the Lord God himself has abandoned his Judeo-Christian values in favor of pandering to a leftist society. Things have gotten so bad that when I use the mist setting on my garden hose, it too produces a rainbow. I haven't left my house in 2 weeks, and while my vegetable garden is slowly dying as we speak, it's better off that my tomatoes wither and die and succumb to a leftist agenda. Now, you may wonder exactly why the left wants to spread this agenda. Well, it's because they're after this delicious boy pussy. But they can't have it. I'm Dennis Prager. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see...
That is absolutely wild and amazing at the same time.
It's how fanatical they are. The cover for the 1973 album Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd?
Mm-hmm.
The famous, pyramid
Diamond,
with the little rainbow thing. The right wing think that the rainbow was added in. They're like, you got Pink Floyd now, promoting wokeness with the rainbow on the cover of Dark Side of the Moon. The rainbow was on Dark Side of the Moon in 1973.
Yeah, it's always been there as long as I remember it, even when I used to watch it. So, yeah.
And it didn't mean in 1973 what it meant today. So, I just, it's amazing how people get so, triggered over anything with a rainbow on it.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to me. I feel the same. When they started doing the whole rainbow is gay and all that stuff, like, it was so crazy to me because I've been brainwashed as a Christian my whole life to believe that, rainbow is the symbol of God, and never flooding us again and blah, blah, blah. And then them changing it, it was just like, it was very weird and very questionable to me, very sus to me when they did that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the whole paranoia about rainbows and all that. The only criticism I would say, and it's not my place because I'm an ugly straight man, but the only criticism I might have toward the rainbow flag is the way it keeps changing. They keep adding to the flag, and it was just like when it was the basic rainbow flag, I was like, liberation, and then they add that the side triangle and the circle in there, and I'm just like is kind of gives you a migraine because it's just so complicated looking now. Have you noticed that?
No, I actually jumped in and learned about all the different flags and the colors, and I understand the meanings of them, and I appreciate and respect the fact that everybody has a type of colored flag that represents them, just like every other thing does. I mean, yeah, AIDS has its own color, cancer has its own colors. Like, why can't they?
Well, no, I agree with that in principle, but it just keeps they just keep adding a new color, a new a circle there, the side triangle. I mean, it just kind of like it just is a little bit. It just keeps looking more and more complicated all the time.
Yeah, you're fine. You're just simple. It's okay. All right.
Yeah, yes, that's what it is. I mean, I still agree with the message behind it, though. I mean, yeah. It just keeps looking. The kids just keep changing everything in there. It's just
well, now they have their own flags with like their own colors and stuff like that. There's like a flag that's like purple, black, and gray with white. There's like different colored flags now. They just kind of keep that triangle with the stripes, and they have their own colors now. So they're kind of the colors and stuff like that. They're organizing and figuring out where it is and solidifying it. So.
But the original flag, just a regular rainbow flag, just looks
you can still use that.
I know, but it looks so conservative these days compared to the modern variation of it.
Yeah. No, I like it because I have the pansexual flag, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, and as I said, it just to me it just looks busy. But that's just but it's not.
That's right.
It's not my struggle. I am an ally, but it's not. Each community has a right to express themselves as they see fit. So
I agree. I enjoy the rainbow flag. Yeah.
So,
all right, you ready?
Yep, I sure am.
Okay, so we covered this, I think, on our or here on this channel about a month ago. The Boeing planes were having problems. Substandard parts, things that just weren't working. And we were talking about a guy that was out there whistleblowing about all this stuff, who had been working as a manager for Boeing itself. So just this weekend, or I think just yesterday, he was found dead by an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound in his car. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are, obviously coming up with conspiracy theories of, he's a whistleblower, so he probably got assassinated and things like that. So here's a little story about him.
There's more trouble for Boeing. A criminal investigation, a failed audit, a dead whistleblower, and multiple mid-air mishaps. It's basically Murphy's Law in action. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong. Let's start with the latest. A Boeing whistleblower has been found dead in the US. His name is John Barnett. Now, Barnett worked at Boeing for 32 years. He flagged many safety issues on their planes, specifically in the oxygen system. He said the onboard masks had a 25% failure rate. So 1 out of 4 masks may not work. He also accused Boeing of using substandard parts. Of course, the company denied this, but later probes upheld Barnett's claims. So how did he die? Barnett was in South Carolina for the Boeing case. He was to appear for questioning on Saturday, but he did not turn up. When officials went looking, they found him dead inside his truck. It was parked at his hotel's car park. And cause of death? Apparently self-inflicted wounds. Now, this whole incident is very fishy. Barnett was on a crusade to expose Boeing. Why would he take his life? Why would he just give up on his mission? Only a thorough investigation can give us the answers. But for Boeing, the headline is bad enough. Plus, it comes at the worst possible time for them. You may remember the mid-air incident from January. A Boeing plane's door panel just flew off while the plane was mid-air. After that, the US FAA decided to investigate Boeing's production process. A quick side note, the FAA is the Federal Aviation Authority. It is America's aviation watchdog. As part of their probe, they conducted 89 tests. Guess how many Boeing failed? 33 out of 89. That's a 37% failure rate. Not bad for a homemade toy plane, but for a real one, 37% is borderline metal coffin. Boeing Supply did equally bad. That's Spirit Aerosystems. They make the fuselage for Boeing's MAX planes, and Spirit failed 7 out of 13 audits. 7 out of 13, they failed. One of them involved the door panel, the exact part that flew off mid-air in January. So what is Boeing doing about all of this? The company says it is implementing immediate changes. It is making a plan to strengthen its safety and quality. And what is the US government doing? After all, they cleared these planes to fly. Reports say the US Justice Department has opened a criminal investigation. Again, the focus is on the January incident. All of this compounds Boeing's problems. It's already a company in crisis. Just look at the share prices. In March 2019, Boeing shares were worth $378. And now, just $192. That's a 50% drop in 5 years. If you think this problem is only Boeing's, you're wrong. The problem affects all of us because aviation is a duopoly, meaning two companies dominate this market, America's Boeing and Europe's Airbus. Together, they make up 99% of all large planes, plus 90% of the overall industry, two companies. This close nature extends to supplies as well. For example, very few companies make engines for planes, like Pratt & Whitney and General Electricals. So what happens if one of them fails? Or if one of their planes is temporarily grounded? Or if one of the engines runs into a problem? The whole industry will be disrupted. It can happen in two ways. One is delivery issues. Let's look at Indian carriers. A lot of them have placed orders from Boeing. Akasa Air is buying 150 planes. Air India is buying 220 planes. And Indigo is looking to buy 25 planes. These aircraft will drive their domestic and international expansion. But what if safety issues delay that? It could cost a lot of money. The second problem is plane renting costs. You see, airlines do not buy planes all the time. Sometimes they lease them. But that cost is rising fast. Take the Airbus A320 plane. It's a workhorse of the aviation world. A 10-year lease on that plane costs $117,000 per month. It is 14% higher than last year. Same with Boeing 737-800. Another workhorse of the aviation world. Its lease rate is 13% up compared to last year. The question is why? A, because demand is rising, more people are flying than ever before, and B, because of supply shortage. Let's go back to that January mid-air incident. The plane involved in that incident was a Boeing 737 MAX 9. Now, that model is still grounded in many countries. So what do carriers do when those planes are grounded? They have to look elsewhere for planes. And that is the danger of a duopoly. It's just one step away from a monopoly, a situation where the supplier can dictate price and supply. If that happens, it's bad news for customers. Prices of planes will rise, leasing costs will rise, and carriers will dump that burden on us. So what is the solution? At this point, there isn't one, honestly. You see, making planes requires a lot of capital. You can't just randomly enter the market. Plus, Boeing and Airbus know all the right people. They're in bed with regulators across the world. So this duopoly is not some organic market development. It's a carefully crafted system, one that keeps aviation dependent on Western producers.
Yeah, and so him being found passed away in an apparent gunshot wound in the parking lot of, I think he was an apartment or a hotel that he was at. to me seems very sus. Like, I know I'm just a regular citizen, but I want to know, was that gun registered to him? Where is the gun? Does it match the bullet that was found? But then I also have questions of like, this guy has been fighting against Boeing for so fucking long. They could have, figured out a way to register his name for that gun and then assassinated him. I mean, there's just so many possibilities, and that kind of stuff usually makes my conspiracy thing ting out. So for sure, seeing him dead is very curious.
Yeah, just like the Clintons' connection with Epstein, I think he was suicided by Boeing.
Right, because I mean, he was supposed to be going in for cross-examination on Saturday, and he didn't show up, and then they found him in his car on Monday. So I don't know, it just seems very sus to me. Very, very, very sus.
Very sus. And I mean, and it also illustrates the abuse because they're involved with the defense industry. They're with the U.S. government. They're basically connected with the deep state. Boeing is. So it's just kind of like you kind of connect the dots. I mean, what else can it be other than what we think it is? Some people say, "No, you're being conspiratorial." No. Well, it may seem like a conspiracy, but sometimes a conspiracy theory can be true. This is not anything that's crazy. I think it is sus myself. Very much.
I agree. If he's been fighting this long and now it's finally starting to get traction, and it just doesn't seem like something that he would off himself over. You've been fighting something for so long, or fighting against something for so long, something so big, and then all of a sudden it starts gaining traction and media attention and a following, and you're just going to do that to yourself. It doesn't seem right.
Of course, my answer with Boeing is it should be nationalized and used for peaceful purposes only.
Right. Yeah. Holding on to the supply and demand of it is absolutely ridiculous. It just reminds me of like the diamond companies as well. They do the same thing. Social media has been starting to become like that. Internet was like that. Cell phones are like that. Any type of tech is like that. You got Apple and Androids, like that's it. So
yeah, monopolies should be nationalized. I mean, and it is one of the American monopolies out there.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get on to your next one. Ben Shapiro ruined while trying to attack Aaron Bushnell. I'm gonna just start it up.
Yep.
All right. No introduction needed. Got it.
Well, yeah. I just thought it was kind of self-explanatory. That was, because just figure Ben Shapiro being Ben Shapiro.
Right. And everybody, if anybody doesn't remember, Aaron Bushnell is the kid soldier who lit himself on fire in the name of freeing Palestine a couple of weeks back.
Active duty Air Force member set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. to protest the war in Gaza. And this, of course, has unlocked all of the worst hordes of the internet who have decided that apparently this member of the Air Force, who was a disturbed anarchist, was some sort of hero.
Ben Shapiro either legitimately doesn't understand what the word anarchist means, or he's just using it for propaganda purposes. Either way, it's pathetic. I think legitimately, I think you're seeing both of that in our mainstream media, just using the word anarchist as just a tar and feathering, and people don't understand what it means, and it's good for propaganda. So anarchist, and they don't even bother to define it. I'll get to more of that in a moment.
That has some really bad implications for politics and for morality and for virtue.
This guy pretending he has morality, or he stands on the side of morals or ethics, is amazing. It is bananas. This is a guy who has day after day for 147 days endorsed genocide, endorsed murder of children on a mass scale, a massive scale. 37,000 people are dead or missing. 30,000 are known dead. 70% of those women are women and children. So the idea that he's going to tell you about morality is just bonkers. It is like a dark Sith Lord with blood dripping out of his mouth going, I think this is a bad thing for morality. You shouldn't behave that way, you know?
The person's name was Aaron Bushnell. Aaron Bushnell was 25 years old, and he was, in fact, a disturbed anarchist. How do we know that he was an anarchist? Well, because he said so. So, first of all, this should raise some serious questions about how we actually screen for the American military.
There he is again. Anarchist, 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 right? It's so dirty. Oh my God, he's an anarchist. Anarchist actually has a definition other than just, I like seeing shit set on fire. That's what people want you to believe it means. It actually does have a definition, folks. That is not the propaganda that you hear. It means basically you're against rulers. You're against people ruling over you. You're against a hierarchy where the president is at the top and the Congress and your police officers are above you in the hierarchy of the rulers of our society. You are welcome, and I encourage it, to debate whether that's how you'd like to see the society set up. There is plenty of debate to be had about that. There are plenty of books written on how anarchy is the correct way to set up a society. Anarchy is a bad way to set up a society. But it does not mean, when someone says they're an anarchist, it does not mean they're just out of their minds. It does not mean they just want to see everything on fire. It does not mean that they don't want to see people happy and healthy and living and in a peace-filled world, in a sustainable world. There are plenty of anarchists and anarchist activities that are all about caring about human beings. And in fact, most of the anarchists that I've chatted with believe that we would get to a more peace-filled world and that people would be educated on how to have an actual community of equality. Because guess what? If you don't have hierarchy, you have equality. What? How could that be? So they believe that we could actually get to a place if you had a different culture and a different education and a different way of preparing people for the world, where we volunteer to do all of the jobs in society, and various people do various jobs, and there's different ways of setting this up. Some anarchists believe that in an anarchist community, you would have people, let's say, some sort of security. You'd have security guards or whatever you want to call them, community police, and that would be on a rotating basis. So one person might be the security guard this week, but next week they're not. So therefore, they're not going to run around arresting the black people and harming people and treating people like shit, because the next week they're not in that position any longer. But another thing has to do with like anarchist activities like mutual aid, which I have volunteered with mutual aid across this country, and did so much good during the pandemic, but still now, where people needed groceries, they needed help, they needed medicine, people had no money and didn't know where to go. And you had mutual aid groups across the country, and again, they're still going now, that helped a lot of people. We're talking thousands and thousands of people were helped by mutual aid groups. Those groups are based on an anarchist principle without a hierarchy. Now, does that mean that everyone there's a lunatic and they just want to murder people? No, what this lunatic here, Ben Shapiro, wants you to believe is that anybody who identifies as an anarchist or has been in an anarchist meeting or has read an anarchist book is a absolute disturbed radical lunatic who wants to shoot everyone. Ben Shapiro is so relying on that propaganda having already settled into your brain that he doesn't even really bother to define anarchist. He just says he was an anarchist. And as long as you say it in that tone, he was an anarchist. His average viewer, and most people, I guess, around the world go, oh my God, he was an anarchist. And so he's relying on you. Either he's relying on you being an idiot or he's an idiot. Now, it is tough to tell with someone like him. Is he just treating you like an idiot or is he an idiot? I don't always know. It's, again, yeah, you guys can rehash that, hash that out in the comment thread. Is he a moron or is he a smart guy who just thinks all of you are morons?
And the simple fact of the matter is that the standards for the American military have been dropping pretty radically. This guy was an IT specialist, and he'd been in the military for several years. And he was, in fact, an active anarchist. Now, you know that the military has been targeting so-called white supremacy in the military. If you're a conservative in the military and you're open about it, that may call into question your loyalty to the U.S. military.
Did you catch that? He equates white supremacists with being conservative, meaning he thinks white supremacy is like fine because he views himself as a conservative, I think. So he's basically saying like white supremacy isn't a thing or it's okay. What he's saying is truly horrifying. He's like, they don't like white supremacists in the military. He uses scare quotes around white supremacists, like there aren't white supremacists in the military. There have been extensive articles on the number of U.S. military personnel. Now, they don't know the exact number, but who are obviously white supremacists, have neck tattoos of swastikas and shit. There's been efforts by the military to get the most obvious white supremacists out of the military, But, and I stress most obvious, there's not been an effort to get just subtle white supremacists out of the military. But clearly that has upset Ben Shapiro because he's like, hey, I'm a white supremacist. Why are you not letting my people into the military? I mean, he literally is like annoyed that they're stopping white supremacists from being in the U.S. military.
Apparently, you can be a radical anarchist publicly, and that has no implications whatsoever for your military service.
He's adding words, by the way. Now it's a radical anarchist. Now, Aaron Bushnell did say he was an anarchist. He also was very involved in mutual aid. Why are we adding the term radical? Being involved in mutual aid? They gave groceries to people. That radical maniac.
Apparently, you can also be a disturbed person, because it turns out you have to be kind of disturbed to set yourself literally on fire.
Now, this gets into a discussion of the meaning of disturbed. Yeah, I'd say that Aaron Bushnell probably had issues to want to leave this world, but is it any more disturbed than all of those in the military who are fine with genocide? And Ben Shapiro, who's fine with genocide, who actually goes on widely viewed programs like his own and tells everyone to celebrate and be fine with this genocide and endorse this genocide by Israel? Like, to me, that's disturbed, very disturbed, aggressively disturbed. That is incredibly disturbed. To celebrate bombs landing on children and hospitals and schools and medics and aid trucks. Radical disturbed. This man, Ben Shapiro, is radical disturbed. But of course, he's just calling Aaron Bushnell disturbed. That's the only one who's disturbed, right?
And when he says in his suicide note, in his final note, that he was quote unquote complicit in genocide, the question would be exactly how, considering the United States Air Force is not even involved in the war in the Gaza Strip.
His first point is that, Ben Shapiro's point is that how could Aaron Bushnell be complicit in genocide when the U.S. Air Force isn't in the Gaza Strip? There's been plenty of coverage of how the U.S. and the U.S. military is involved in this genocide. Now, just because Aaron was in the Air Force, a arm of the U.S. military, and that arm might not currently be in Gaza, that doesn't mean he's not feeling complicit with it. The U.S. military is complicit with it. You have the New York Times reporting on 1,000 troops, I think, have already been sent to Israel. You have the Intercept coverage of the Pentagon memo telling U.S. soldiers in Iraq to be ready to help out in the case of an invasion of Gaza. You also have the New York Times saying that the CIA is in Israel helping Israel assassinate Palestinians. You have the drones that the military is piloting over Gaza and giving that intelligence to Israel to facilitate their genocide. The U.S. military, and then, of course, there's all the weapons contractors and weapons we're sending over there. So the U.S. military is like this when it comes to this genocide. They are linked hand in hand. This is a U.S.-backed genocide. So for Aaron Bushnell to say he doesn't want to be complicit in this genocide because he is in the U.S. military and the U.S. military is clearly helping with this genocide is 100% a rational thought. I'm not celebrating the tactic. I'm celebrating what he at least said he stood for. Now, again, I don't think people should kill themselves, but it is a rational thought to say, I don't want to be complicit in this. I'm in the U.S. military. That is complicit in this U.S.-backed genocide. Totally rational.
Not only that, there is not a genocide in the Gaza Strip.
Did you catch that? There's no genocide in the Gaza Strip. I bet you guys didn't know that. Yeah, no, not at all. And he goes on to act like it's a normal war. It's a normal military occupation. Just to remind everyone, the average percentage of children killed in modern warfare is like 4 to 8%. The percentage that Israel is killing is 43 or 45%. Israel is killing way more children. And the reason for that is because Israel is not fighting a battle. They are just erasing human beings. This is, even according to former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, even according to him, this is ethnic cleansing. Okay? So Ben Shapiro is far, far right of the former Prime Minister of Israel, who said this is ethnic cleansing and that Israel wants all-out war, regional war.
I know that it has become commonplace for morons in media to suggest a targeted operation by these.
Targeted? How is this a targeted operation? They're bombing hospitals. They're bombing people in line at aid trucks. If this is targeted, then actually, if this is targeted, then you actually just said this is genocide, meaning they're not accidentally killing all these innocent people. They're targeting them. So, all right, then I guess you're admitting this is genocide.
Israelis in the Gaza Strip that has killed, according to the Israelis, upward of 10,000 members of Hamas.
Yeah, 10,000 members of Hamas, considering 70% of those killed are women and children. So you know they're not in Hamas. Hamas militant, because Hamas again is the government. So you can be a part of Hamas and not have nothing to do with Hamas militants. If 70% are women and children, which we know, then that means there's only 30% of the 37,000 that are missing or dead. There's only 30% that could even possibly conceivably be Hamas militants. But that would mean that every man above age, 18, that Israel has killed has been a Hamas militant. Does anyone believe that? Is there anyone who believes that? You can see the videos. These are not militants. Israel is just murdering everyone.
Or hiding among civilians.
Oh, God, that human shield garbage again. Is there any more debunked talking point in the world than the human shield garbage?
That is somehow an example of a genocide?
It's actually the dictionary definition of a genocide. In case you were wondering, Benny boy, here it is from the Holocaust Memorial website. In case you wanted to know what exactly you're claiming is not going on, it ratified the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, 1948. The convention defines genocide as any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part. Keywords, in part. You don't have to kill every person for it to be genocide. Okay, that's why the Holocaust was genocide, even though, such as me and you, Ben, there are Jews still around. Doesn't mean it wasn't genocide. So, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Okay, so any of the following acts. Here they are. Killing members of the group. Do you think Israel's done that? Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Do you think Israel's done that? Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Literally, Israel has cut off the water and the food. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. That's one of the reasons Israel's been bombing the hospitals and killing all the doctors. Forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Israel has at least 10,000 hostages, many of them children in Israeli prison. A number of specific actions have been deemed punishable under the convention. These are genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, which many Israeli officials have actually accidentally revealed genocidal talking points, such as Gaza should be erased, such as Netanyahu holding up a map of the Middle East before October 7th that had Palestine, had West Bank and Gaza erased, etc. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide, attempt to commit genocide, complicity in genocide. There's your definition, Ben Shapiro. And man, Israel fits every last aspect of that definition of genocide.
An example of a genocide? But I can assure you that is definitionally wrong.
Definitionally, is it?
It has complete air superiority for the 1,000th time in the Gaza Strip. If Israel wished to kill hundreds of thousands of people, Israel certainly has the air power to do so.
This is another one of these completely idiotic talking points trying to defend this genocide. If Israel wanted to kill more people, they could. That doesn't mean they're not committing genocide. There's nothing in the genocide definition that says you have to kill as many as you can, and as many as you are capable of. Israel has nuclear bombs. Yes, they could fire a nuclear bomb at Gaza. That doesn't mean that not firing a nuclear bomb is not genocide. It is one of the dumbest talking points I've ever heard. It's so dumb to say, well, they haven't quite killed as many as they could, so it's not genocide. No, that is nowhere in the definition of genocide. Phenomenally dumb talking points. I mean, of course they're dumb, because when you're trying to defend genocide, you have to be an idiot. You have to come up with idiotic talking points. You can't, there's nothing that could sound intelligent coming out of his stupid face holes. So you end up with this garbage. Anyway, wanted to bring that segment to you. That's about all.
Yeah, I agree. He looked like an idiot. Good for
Lee. Yeah, it's what you expect from Ben Shapiro, and the misuse of the term anarchist. It's possible that Ben Shapiro don't know what an anarchist is. You know, the right wing don't know what anarchism is. They don't know the difference between democratic socialism, communism, social democracy, you know, Trotskyism. I mean, to them, it's all the same. I mean, you know, they don't even have any nuance. And Ben Shapiro is one more person with that. He still defends the Bush-Cheney doctrine going into Iraq and Afghanistan. And you know, what more can you expect from Ben Shapiro? And like Lee Camp said, he's Jewish and he does not endorse what's going on in Gaza. And, you know, just like Due Dissidents and Glenn Greenwald and Max Blumenthal and Aaron Matei and Katie Halper, you know, just they don't endorse this crap, and you know they're you know, and so you know, just so Ben Shapiro would love to say that if you go and criticize what Israel's doing, it makes you anti-Semitic, and that's just not the case either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what the Zionists are there saying. So,
yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much, that's pretty much it there. So
good on Lee Camp. I'm happy that he covered that because he definitely didn't cover all of it. He probably did on like the full show or something like that. But good on him for at least, you know, covering a lot of that because, yeah, I'm getting really sick and tired of the Zionist talking points out there. The victim mentality, the weaponized victim mentality is a pet peeve of mine, just regularly around people, but seeing it to this extent with people, it's absolutely driving me insane. So
yeah, we all agree what happened in Germany and in Eastern Europe by Hitler was horrible and evil, and never again. We all agree with that,
Right.
but
that doesn't
Netanyahu,
give them the excuse to do it to somebody else. Because I mean, I've heard racist people say the same thing about Hitler. They're like, oh, well, he had a really hard life growing up, so he couldn't help it. That's just the kind of person. And I tell those people, like, there's so many other people in this world that has had way worse life than Hitler ever did, and they didn't do anything as close. There is no fucking excuse for his fucking actions. And now with the Israelis and the Zionists out there, the same fucking thing. I don't care how much your ancestors, not even you, went through. There is no reason for you to weaponize your victimhood like that and do something like this. No excuse whatsoever.
Can you imagine in that art school in Austria how different society would be, how different the world would be if they would have accepted him into the art school?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he would have been gay and happy. I don't know.
He blamed the Jews for him not being accepted into art school.
Well,
yeah, because
but see, that was his own choice to do that, though, to blame them and become like that. Like, he could have still done art and been just like every other artist in history, where he dies sad and depressed, but then when he dies, his artwork goes on and lives on forever. Like, he could have been one of those, but he made the choice. That's still his choice to do what he did.
Yeah. A little bit of a quick trivia before he ended his life. Do you know what his diet was before he died? We all know he was a vegetarian, but the only thing he consumed before he died was mashed potatoes and broth.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was pretty much shitting through everything.
Because he felt like the foods he was eating cost him gas, and he still had a how you pronounce that word? Flagellinating problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, it just goes to show, and even no matter how rich and powerful you are, you have to cater to that time's medicinal practices.
Yeah. And of course, Hitler was full of shit. So
literally.
yeah. So
and figuratively.
You remember the comedian? Gosh, what's his name? He died. Gosh, I cannot think of the name of that comedian. Well, I was going to make a joke about it, but I forgot his name. Okay, so I'll have to save that for another time.
All right, you got it. All right, so I'll get on to the next one. I wanted to talk about this on Friday, but I didn't really have time and figured I'd save it to kind of see what's going on and an update of this. So Haiti has been dealing with a lot of violence. I've even talked about this on my own show before. We've discussed, I think his name is like Barbecue or something. They're calling him like the gang leader out there. He's kind of running things. There's a lot of gang fights. The leader of there was obviously, we coup d'etat them right after their hurricane or their earthquake or whatever it was. I think it was a earthquake. Threw in an Americanized puppet into their system. And he, I think, is like, his name is Henri or something like that. Their prime minister, Ariel Henry. He's actually been, he left the country and hasn't even been able to come back. They had a meeting in Jamaica recently about what's going on because the violence is starting to get a lot more, is happening a lot more often. So this is kind of like the update of what's going on in Haiti right now. The Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, has resigned. And I think there's a battle right now of what the people want, of like a fair and free and fair elections, and then the Western powers wanting to put their own kind of people in there and kind of keep what's going on because it benefits the powers that be in the Western country. So here's the little update of what's going on with Haiti. And sorry, you guys, I keep jumping off and stuff because my cat's got out and my other cat is still out, so I might have to jump out one more time if I see her, because outside pregnant cat is out here and these two fight. So I've got to take her back in the house because she got out. And yeah, so I'm sorry for jumping out all the time. I'm just cat herding right now.
Haiti, Ariel Henry, has resigned. That's according to the president of Guyana,
Right.
Irfan Ali, who is the chairman of the Caribbean Regional Group. Henry has been in Puerto Rico since last week after gang leaders controlling the capital warned him against returning to Port-au-Prince. Leaders of the Caribbean bloc CARICOM have been meeting in Jamaica's capital to discuss a political transition and the security crisis in Haiti.
We are pleased to announce the commitment to a transitional governance arrangement, which paves the way for a peaceful transition of power, continuity of governance, an action plan for near-term security, and the road to free and fair elections. It further seeks to assure that Haiti will be governed by the rule of law. This commitment reflects hard compromises among a diverse coalition of actors who have put their country above all differences. To that end, we acknowledge the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry upon the establishment of a transitional presidential council and the naming of an interim prime minister.
Let's bring in Al Jazeera's Teresa Bona, who is in Santo Domingo in neighboring Dominican Republic. Teresa, this resignation doesn't really come as a surprise because Ariel Henry had been under a great deal of pressure to step down.
Well, that's correct. It's been days of tension, of violence on the streets of Port-au-Prince and different cities all across of Haiti. And as you just said, this does not come as a surprise. Prime Minister Ariel Henry had traveled to Kenya to sign an agreement for a multinational support team that would help the Haitian police fight against the growing influence of the gangs. However, he was not allowed to return. And since then, we've been hearing the gangs on the streets of Haiti saying that if he goes back, this would trigger a civil war. However, let's not forget that for many Haitians, Ariel Henry is not a legitimate leader. He was not elected. He was handpicked in a way after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse back in 2021. Many people say that he was unable to solve the problems, the enormous problems that Haiti is facing today. And that's why many are supporting this resignation. We're going to have to see the impact that this has on the ground, what gangs will have to say about him. We've been listening, for example, to the leader of G9, which is a federation of gangs, Jimmy Cherissier. He's also known as Barbecue, who on this day, he was on the streets of Port-au-Prince, in a way threatening hotel owners who were sheltering politicians close to Henry. So certainly lots of tension in Haiti. We're going to have to see whether this changes anything at all and the impact that this has in the country.
Indeed, we'll have to wait and see what reaction comes out of Haiti and Port-au-Prince in particular, where, as you say, gangs have been in control, effectively in control of the Haitian capital. In terms of the region, we had this emergency meeting of regional leaders, right? So what happens next then with the political transition? Because the president of Guyana talked about political transition. What is that going to look like? And what about the future of the multinational stabilization force for Haiti?
Well, what it's interesting to know is that from the very beginning, since 2021, when Moïse was assassinated, the international community, especially the United States, continued to support Ariel Henry, even though many of the people in Haiti did not want him as their leader. People were calling for elections on the streets. What we're seeing now is when Secretary of State Antony Blinken traveled to Kingston for this meeting, something changed. We started to listen to hear that not only the CARICOM, which is the Caribbean nations, starting to express their concern about what is happening in Haiti right now, talking about a transition, about setting up what they call a presidential college composed of political parties, of the private sector, of the religious community, among others, to try to set up a transition that at the same time will lead to elections. It would be, in a way, accompanying what all the focus, all the attention is on right now, which is on this United Nations multinational security support team, which is basically police forces from other countries. Right now, it is from Kenya. Around 400 of them are ready to be deployed, Kenya says, that will travel to Haiti to support the Haitian National Police in their fight against the gangs. Let's not forget the Haitian National Police says that they're desperate for ammunition, weapons, bulletproof vests, among other things, to fight against the gangs. So we're going to have to see, again, it's all in the air right now about the impact that this is going to have in Haiti, because the gangs have a completely different plan. What they want is, in a way, a troika set up by a judge, by a former coup leader who's been in prison in the United States for drug-related charges, among others, to take power. And this is in stark contrast with what CARICOM and also the international community and the United States wants. So suddenly, there's lots of issues right now that need to be dealt with, but in the middle, there's the lives of millions of Haitians that are facing acute hunger. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced, and most of them are struggling for food, water, and medicines. That the situation continues to deteriorate.
An uncertain situation indeed. Teresa, thank you very much for that. That's Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reporting from.
It's absolutely crazy to me that we're still dipping our fingers over there. Like, who fucking cares what America wants or what any kind of, international community wants? This is their lives. This is their decision. They should be able to make the choice on this. I don't understand why we're doing this, why we're dipping our toes again into all of this. We need to stay out of Haiti and just let them do their thing. Like, we haven't done enough fucking damage in that country as it is.
The only thing the U.S. should do with Haiti is provide some kind of economic assistance, but with no strings attached. And it's kind of sad because Haiti's like the poorest country in the world, not just the poorest in the Western Hemisphere, but the poorest country in the world. And it's just sad how everything kind of transgress itself all the time over there.
Yeah, I know. It's our fault. I mean, we've done it, so.
Yeah, we had our hand in this, as we have our hand all around the world. It seems like even when the United States is responsible for doing something good, it's usually by accident.
Yeah, I don't think we've done anything good for good purposes' sakes. Unless it's like an ally country, I guess, but whatever.
Since World War,
really
it'd be by accident.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you have next? Genocide at the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay.
Because it's about the Eurovision and regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with Gaza.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, wait, there's genocide at the Eurovision contest? What is going on? All right.
Despite the fact that Israel stands accused of committing genocide in Gaza, having killed 25,000 Palestinians, including 10,000 children in the last few months, Eurovision said, hey, it's no big deal. Israel can still participate in Eurovision because this is a competition for broadcasters, not for governments. Interestingly, that's not how Eurovision treated Russia, who was banned almost immediately after the invasion of Ukraine. But now Eurovision is going out of its way to separate the Israeli broadcaster from their government. Eurovision reckons the broadcaster has nothing to do with the genocide, even though the Israeli national competition, the contest which decides who Israel is going to send to Eurovision this year, has included military propaganda. They also posted a song about annihilating Gaza and its people that naturally has been described as genocidal. Well, gee, that all sounds terrible, but hey, it's not like they're going to bring any of that propaganda to Eurovision, right? Well, when Israel hosted Eurovision in 2019, they erased any mention of Palestinians, made it impossible for Palestinians to attend the competition, scolded Madonna for promoting peace with Palestine, fined a contestant for holding up a Palestinian flag, and showcased illegally occupied Palestinian territories as belonging to Israel. And they weren't even subtle about the fact they were using Eurovision to improve Israel's international image.
I know just what you heard, that it's a land of war and occupation.
But we have so much more than that. You'll see the prices, you'll say, what?
It's all of that we see.
And all of the European broadcasters were complicit in this settler colonial propaganda. The BBC, RAI, Law, everyone, and not just in Europe, all over the world, even though the rules state that you cannot instrumentalize or politicize the contest. But Eurovision has always been a great way for countries to brand themselves and gloss over their crimes. Israel, as a settler colonial project, as an apartheid state, needs the moral and material support of the West, and they have to continually lobby for that support. They need countries like the UK to support their violence, and we won't mind sending them more bombs to kill civilians and bury children under the rubble as long as we can see how cute and progressive and fun they are. Even if by some miracle Israel doesn't use Eurovision to explicitly push further propaganda, given the banning of Russia a few years back, Israel's very presence at Eurovision becomes a message to the world that we are totally fine and okay with the murder of 25,000 people and counting. We're not okay with the murder of Ukrainians, of white Europeans, but we are okay with the fact that Israel has made Gaza the most dangerous place in the world to be a child and is deliberately starving millions of civilians as a method of warfare, which is a war crime. But we're okay with that, as long as it's just Palestinians starving. Last year's Eurovision was devoted to supporting Ukraine, but when it comes to the slaughter of Muslim Middle Eastern people, it's suddenly all, oh, but broadcasters are not their governments. Eurovision is apolitical. Of course Israel can stay. Okay, but even if Eurovision doesn't give a shit about genocide, its organizer, the EBU, is a media organization which cares deeply about media independence and freedom of expression. In fact, in 2021, the EBU suspended its Belarusian member because of government interference and suppression of media freedom, meaning they're now banned from Eurovision. But for some reason, the EBU is fine with Israel suppressing media freedom. The Committee to Protect Journalists has said that this has been the deadliest war on record for journalists. Israel explicitly labeled journalists who cover Gaza as accomplices and said they would hunt them down together with the terrorists. Since October, they've killed at least 83 journalists, though it may be in the hundreds. And this isn't even new. Israel has a history of killing, arresting, harassing, and censoring journalists covering their violence against Palestinians. Even BBC journalists trying to report on Gaza have faced violence. In Tel Aviv, Israeli police forcibly removed 2 BBC Arabic reporters from their vehicle, searched them, and held them at gunpoint before hitting one of them on the neck. Currently, Israel is barring foreign journalists from entering Gaza, making it impossible to provide comprehensive on-the-ground coverage. While occasionally foreign journalists are allowed to enter Gaza, they must be accompanied by the Israeli army. They're not allowed to talk to Palestinians, and they have to submit all materials to the Israeli army for review before publication.
So what did you see?
Well, Wolf, we weren't allowed to see anything. Israeli authorities blocked off roads, corralled the media into one location.
We had to go in darkness through a hole in one of the perimeter walls. We weren't allowed to talk to other people, not to doctors, not to patients.
Experts have warned that this leads to skewed coverage, and statistical analysis confirms that Western coverage does indeed heavily favor the Israeli perspective over the Palestinian, which is not surprising. If journalists ever try to bypass the military center, they get banned from Israel and their institution is forced to issue a public apology. And it's not just foreign journalists. The Israeli military imposes censorship for local journalists too, which bans hundreds and redacts thousands of articles per year. Reporters Without Borders says there's a toxic environment for journalism in Israel and that because of self-censorship, there is little or no coverage of the reality of life in Palestinian territories. So, by the rules and values of the EBU itself, Israel should not be allowed to participate. It's clear the EBU just doesn't give a shit. And in fact, they didn't kick Russia out of Eurovision because they invaded Ukraine. Initially, they had announced that they were going to let Russia stay. And they only changed their tune and kicked Russia out because 10 other member countries complained, and some even threatened to withdraw if Russia was allowed to stay. In the end, the EBU said they had removed Russia so as to not bring Eurovision into disrepute. That's what they give a shit about. Disrepute. So, what can we do about Israel? Well, I think the EBU is about to run into some fucking disrepute. This video is not a video essay, it is a call to action. We are asking you to get in touch with your local broadcaster. The most effective way of putting pressure on Eurovision is not going to be directly, but through participating broadcasters such as the BBC or your country's equivalent. The EBU can ignore your angry tweets, but they have a much harder time ignoring their paying members. So we need to start putting pressure on national broadcasters, the public institutions that make Eurovision happen and that are paid for with our taxpayers' money. We have to let them know it's unacceptable to use our money to spread genocidal propaganda. And Iceland have already shown how effective this can be. After campaigning from both the public and the potential representatives, the Icelandic broadcaster has announced that they are considering dropping out of Eurovision this year. This absolutely can be done if we band together and make some noise. So we've compiled a list of contacts for all participating broadcasters so you can contact your local one and let them know that 1, you find Israel's participation in Eurovision unacceptable, 2, that they need to put pressure on the EBU, and 3, they need to withdraw if Israel is allowed to participate. And it's important that everyone from all over the world, not just Swedes, let the Swedish broadcaster SVT know that all their efforts to create a great Eurovision 2024 will be tarnished if Israel is allowed to participate and turn the show into genocide apologism with its very presence. We also need to put pressure on individual contestants. Eurovision gives singers a huge platform and they have a chance to use that platform for good. The same way that the Latvian representatives, Citizani, joined the calls to ban Russia from Eurovision in 2022. Hundreds of musicians, including some past and potential contestants, have already spoken out against Israel's actions and said Israel needs to be banned. This year's participants need to understand that if they put their careers before protesting genocide, their reputation will never recover. So we've also compiled a contact list of all the known 2024 participants. The UK's Ollie Alexander previously already expressed support for Palestine, so maybe he will speak up again if we can convince him we support his views. And finally, there's the sponsors. Eurovision sponsors this year include Moroccan Oil and Baileys. Baileys is an Irish brand, and Ireland is known to be a huge supporter of Palestine. Baileys also prides themselves on being inclusive, fairly made, having a vegan version of their famous drink. I'm sure they would not want that image to be tarnished by the Genocide Song Contest sponsored by Baileys. So we've also included contact details so you can let the sponsors know that you'll be forced to stop buying their products if they're just going to spend your money on Israeli propaganda. Back in 2019, we boycotted Eurovision for being hosted in the apartheid state of Israel. Now we boycott again, and we push harder. Eurovision, get fucked.
That's right. You tell them.
Exactly. And, the double standard with Russia and Israel, I mean, it astounds me.
Yep. That it is very noticeable. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been accused of being pro Putin and pro Russia, and just like which is ridiculous because I would never vote for Putin if I lived in Russia. He would not be my choice. Where there are legitimate criticisms about aspects of Russia, but but to sit there and to shit on Russia, but not do anything to Israel in that regard. I mean, it's just inconsistent as fuck.
Yep, I completely agree. I didn't know that Eurovision was doing all of that. I love that they did all the homework and definitely got a list out there. I hope people are out there at least doing something to try to get that going and get Israel out of Eurovision. Good on them.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to be in Eurovision, allow the Russians in there.
Right. Yeah, really
Yeah.
make it about just entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go, I mean, I don't like selective outrage and select, this beating up on Russia business is gotten old.
Yep. I completely agree. We're still going at it too, so with them.
Exactly. I remember when the Russian invasion of the Ukraine began, there were people trying to boycott vodka. It's like freedom fries revisited. That's basically. So funny story about it. I believe it was Congressman Walter Jones in North Carolina's third congressional district that came up with the resolution to change the name of French fries to freedom fries in the cafeteria. And then he ended up turning against the Iraq War, and kind of regretted his role in assisting George W. Bush.
Good. I'm glad he had a change of heart.
Yeah, yes, he did. So I do I do commend the late Walter Jones on that one. So
Oh, okay. Back in those days.
yep. And actually it comes close to home about freedom fries. When I was at East Carolina, there was a place called Cubby's, a little like 1950s hamburger joint. Great hamburgers, by the way. They were the ones that started calling it freedom fries, and that's where he got the idea from a restaurant called Cubby's, which is just around the corner from the campus at East Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of people were talking about calling them freedom fries, but I never saw a place that actually called it that.
Yeah, it was Cubby's in Greenville, which was on 5th Street. They were the ones that came up with the idea. Walter Jones is like, okay, let's go make them call it freedom fries in the canteen in the U.S. Capitol.
Oh my goodness, that is out of hand.
Yeah, it's goofy when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. All right. So on to some cool news. This was put out by my local Fox News channel. So this weekend, there was the Oscars out here in Hollywood, as they do every year. But this year, there was some protesters, Free Palestine protesters. I think it was the Jews for Peace or something like that. It was some, like Jewish organization that even held it. That ended up actually doing such a good job of disrupting the Oscars that they started like 15 minutes late. There was some road blockage from them to where some people that were attending the Oscars had to park down the street and walk through the protesters to get to the Oscars because they couldn't drive there. And it was really cool to see because I really enjoy protest. I believe that, protest, the meaning of them is to disrupt your everyday life. So you can think about something like this because these people's lives have been completely disrupted way more than we could ever even imagine, way worse than we could ever even imagine. So just disrupting your life just a little bit, inconveniencing you a little bit, just so you can think about what, we're trying to say out there, is absolutely necessary in the freedoms of voice, having a voice in America. So here it is. Very proud of these people. This is a good job on them. There was a couple of actors, celebrities that, you know, spoke out about it. I believe some guy won an award, spoke out. The guy that plays Hulk in the Marvel series, he obviously said something to the press when he was walking down the carpet, you know, saying free Palestine. He was really proud of the protesters, things like that. So we got to actually see a couple of protesters messing with some people in really pretty dresses that are probably worth more than most of those protesters' homes. So it was very cool to see. Here we go.
And it's quiet now, but earlier today it was high drama on the streets of Hollywood. As you just mentioned, there were hundreds of protesters. There was a tactical alert, and there were late guests making a run for the theater. All this because of a well-organized protest on the streets of Hollywood. On Sunday, before Hollywood's most glamorous night, the streets of Hollywood looked like a scene torn from a movie screenplay. All eyes on Rafah. Protesters carried signs and flags and snarled city streets leading into the Dolby Theater.
We succeeded. It started 6 minutes late. The red carpet was empty for a while.
The aim was to disrupt the carefully choreographed glamour of Oscar night. Hundreds of protesters, at times swelling to 1,000, called for an immediate ceasefire to the Israel-Hamas conflict. On the streets, a huge police presence, as well as limos. A tactical alert was called by the LAPD. It was downgraded by 6 p.m. But in sharp contrast were people dressed black tie trying to get past protesters with
Look at them.
bullhorns and into the theater. Miguel Kamnitzer is the grandson of death camp survivors. He said taking the message to Hollywood has impact beyond Oscar Sunday.
Dolby Theater is filled with artists, creatives, producers, and a tremendous amount of wealth and influence, and we need all of those resources directed on ending this genocide.
Scenes from high above the iconic Hollywood streets told a story of hundreds jamming the streets to be heard. And at one point, protesters beginning to overwhelm a chain-link fence near the red carpet. But one man who followed the clamor ran outside. He strongly voiced his opposition to the protesters.
Israel and Palestine have the right to exist, and they have the right to exist together. This is a city full of different cultures. We all live together. We don't kill one another. We don't cross lines and fire and kill children on the street.
I really hated seeing him say or hearing him say that we're not killing we don't cross lines and fire and kill children on the streets. Where are children on the streets of Hollywood being killed during that protest? I'm pretty sure none of those people on those signs that were carrying those signs out in the protest were saying kill Israeli children. So I mean, like, if he would just shut his mouth a little bit, like a lot of Zionists need to do, and open their eyes, they would see that those protesters, their signs say, stop killing Gazan children, Palestinian children. So I hate that the news had to add that little extra piece in there, like as if that one man was like, you know, super powerful against whatever protest they were saying. That shit drove me absolutely insane. But good on them. I'm really proud of them for causing a disruption. I loved seeing that one protester, you know, kind of pushing and shoving the dude in the suit and the lady in the dress, like, read my sign. You know, that shit was good. I was very proud.
Yeah, and you know, and when it comes to protests, it's like we're going to make a comparison when the Tea Party were being obnoxious during the Obama years, and the January 6th, insurrection that took place. The right wing will be like, "Oh, that's all freedom of speech," and they claim that they're like the big arbiters of freedom of speech. But when a push comes to shove, and it's the speech that they oppose, they want to silence protesters. So we saw what Jewish Voice for Peace, what they were going through a few months ago at the Capitol, for example.
Yeah. That's who held this protest.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene called it the insurrection. She wanted to go have the cops bust that protest.
Jeez, of course she would.
Yeah, the Jewish space laser lady.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was she strong enough? I'm pretty sure she could just lift each one of those people and just throw them out, by herself, one by one.
Yeah, I mean, she's masculine.
If she wanted to. Right. Yeah, if she wanted to,
Yeah.
All right. So you want to go on to the next one for you?
Yeah, let's see what we got here for the next one. Let's see. Yes, let's do this one. George Galloway makes an offer. Makes Jeremy Corbyn an offer. And this is from Novera Media. And I just thought it was an interesting story. What it could mean for electoral politics if George Galloway and Jeremy Corbyn collaborates.
All right. I'm here for it. Let's watch it.
Galloway's victory in the recent Rochdale by-election was a jolt to Britain's political establishment. And in a recent interview, he discussed the possibility of an alliance with another political outsider, Jeremy Corbyn.
I haven't spoken to him for many years, personally. I speak to people who speak to him, and he speaks to people who speak to me, but I haven't spoken to him in many years. So I don't know why he has procrastinated so long in making a final total break with Labour and leading something himself. If he was here now, I would say to him, you saw what happened last night. Set up, announce an alliance of the remaining socialists in the country. You lead it. I'll support it. You be the leader. And let's go. Time is running out. The general election might be 3 months from now. And I wish I knew why he had procrastinated, because if he left Labour at the moment that he should have, at the peak of his powers, he'd have taken a couple of 100,000 people with him. And that's a force. You know, not many parties in Europe have a force like that. He could have led it. And he must avoid being a wasting asset. He is a very considerable asset, and everyone loves him. But he should be careful that he doesn't waste the remaining opportunity that exists. If he won't, then we will. We'll run ourselves. We'll support independence where we don't run ourselves. And we'll do that. But we'll be weaker because of the absence of Jeremy Corbyn at the head of it.
Now, on that plea from Galloway, Corbyn's spokesperson has reportedly declined to comment, but Sky News have reported these quotes from allies of the former Labour leader. So a former aide says this: Galloway wants Jeremy to be the leader of some new great movement, but I don't think Jeremy would do that. He doesn't need Galloway's baggage. George and Jeremy may have spoken at the same rallies during the Iraq War, but they have not ever been close comrades. George Galloway is a lone wolf. It's how he operates. Sky spoke to another source who branded the idea of Corbyn joining Galloway's party as a complete non-starter and said, quote, they may agree over Gaza, but they have totally different politics. It wouldn't be in Jeremy's interests. Aaron, what do you make of this? I mean, I think most people expect Jeremy Corbyn to stand in Islington North. People have been sort of speculating, should he form a new party? Should he form a new party with George Galloway? What do you think?
If you're going to say that it's a non-starter or it's ridiculous or they share nothing in common, I think you should say that on the record. I don't like people speaking off the record like that. You're giving credibility to a statement, former Corbyn aide. Put your name on it. That's my view. Sometimes you can't if you're a whistleblower. This isn't that. So I just don't see how that's especially helpful. George Galloway wrote a book called I'm Not the Only One in the early 2000s. Has many funny anecdotes in it, including the fact that he gave revolutionary literature to Tariq Aziz, the then Iraqi prime minister, shortly before the American invasion of Iraq, so that he could successfully prosecute a revolutionary war. There's some stuff out, you think, well, if that was out there, that's pretty remarkable. He gave the prime minister of Iraq under Saddam Hussein, Mao Zedong and Ernesto Che Guevara, tips and hints how to defend his country. Look, I say that book, by the way, because in the acknowledgements there, and I think in the dedication, it mentions Jeremy Corbyn, amongst other people, as a comrade. So maybe things have changed, but they were certainly close in 2005-06. And I think Jeremy Corbyn should comment on this rather than aides. I find this just distasteful, frankly. Doesn't mean you have to like George Galloway or agree with everything he says, but if you're going to poo-poo a political alliance of any kind between different parliamentarians, I think you should put your name to it. And that's just good politics, good practice. Jeremy Corbyn never wanted to lead the Labour Party. So the idea that he would lead another political party, I think is for the birds, personally. I might be wrong. I've never had him tell me that. But he was a very reluctant leader of the Labour Party. He doesn't want to be a leader. He doesn't like leading. One could even argue he's not very good at leading. He's very good at making the moral case for socialism. He's an amazing campaigner. He's an amazing constituency MP. And of course, he tried to integrate that into his brand of leadership, right? Sometimes successfully, like 2017, sometimes not. But he is not somebody who wants to lead a political party. So I think that is certainly a non-starter. The idea of him being in the same political party as Galloway, I mean, they were from 1987 to 2005. That's quite a long time, isn't it? That's 18 years. So, there's lots of beef post-Respect, the political party which Galloway was a prominent member of in response to the illegal war in Iraq after 2003. There's lots of beef and animosity and bad blood between people on the left as a result. But the idea that they can't be in the same party is obviously nonsensical because it was true in the past. I think Galloway is an extraordinary campaigner. Where I do agree with that comment given is that Galloway is a little bit of a lone wolf. He's not been involved in a political party and collective action in a meaningful sense since he left Labour. He was the only member of Parliament for Respect. He won that seat in the 2005 general election. He then won the Bradford West by-election later on, not as a member of Respect, and of course more recently as an MP for the Workers' Party of Great Britain. He's now the MP for Rochdale. An extraordinary set of accomplishments, but the fact he's not been involved in a larger organisation for a particularly long period of time probably suggests he's not the right kind of personality to work with other people, compromise with other people, to enact the kind of thing he's describing there. So they're both not especially good candidates to lead a new party of the left for very different reasons. They both have their own skills. I mean, my God, anybody who says Galloway is an idiot, a moron, you do not win. You do not win a parliamentary seat three times, when you aren't standing for one of the two major parties, or indeed, the two and a half parties in England. Let's include the Lib Dems too. I said this on a previous show, Michael. George Galloway is one of only two MPs to represent 4 constituencies. The other one is Churchill, who did 5. It's very, very rare. So I don't want to diminish his achievements, but him and Corbyn in the same party, Corbyn leading it, not happening.
I don't know if I could see it happening. It'd be really cool, those two, and then that other guy that's just starting, that worked with like Gandhi, I think it was, or something like that. I think that would be really cool. It'd be interesting, I guess.
Yeah, it's a more realistic venture in the UK than it would be in the US. It could happen, but unfortunately not likely to happen, because Jeremy Corbyn, even though he is now an independent in the Islington North constituency, he's because he was kicked out of the Labour Party by Starmer. He still is committed to Labour. And that's what it comes down to. And he's probably going to try to enter back the Labour Party in the way that Ken Livingstone was. I believe he was kicked out of the Labour Party and he had to go and get back into their good graces. That was the former left-wing mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, which when I was in London, I took that surprise, like, got an actual socialist as a mayor in this city. So, but the thing about it is that I do think that they need to create a new political party, because the Labour parties, although they're better than the Democrats here in the United States, they have walked so far away from their socialism that those who are actually socialists inside the Labour Party needs to break away and form a new political formation. And I just think that's what needs to happen.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can agree. I'm always very nervous about new political parties forming because of the viability of them. But I mean, there's always a possibility. We'll have to see what Jeremy Corbyn has to say about it. I mean, even if he's even willing to be a participant in elections anymore after what they put him through last time. So
Yeah, my politics is probably a little closer to Jeremy Corbyn's than George Galloway. George Galloway has some issues that I really disagree with, but I mean, I'm with him on foreign policy for damn
Right.
sure. But he's funny as hell to listen. He's entertaining to listen to. I could listen to that Scottish brogue all day long. I mean, literally.
yeah,
He's
yeah, it's the rolling of the R's. That's
oh
all I listen. That's all I
my
hear.
God, I love listening to him on the mother of all talk shows.
It makes
So
me wonder if that's how they really talk out there. Like, do they really stop when there's like an R in the word and they just got to roll that shit for a good solid second or two?
I can tell you yes, because I have a friend from Scotland. I have a friend from Scotland. He sounds just like George Galloway when he talks, and he will not give you a word edgewise. When he's gets when he gets and he's like a hardcore Trotskyist, and when he gets really round up, or just like, you just might as well don't talk, because he's going to just get his point across, and you just might as well just surrender and listen to what he's got to say.
Get your
Yeah.
fucking tongue off my face, you pervert. Sorry.
And I see what's interesting about my friend Jimmy Harkin, that's his name. He when he was growing up in his young adult years under Thatcher, every time he was laid off from work or what have you, he'll end up in another job, and Thatcher just kept on interfering with the poor guy's life. I mean, yeah, his life was interfered with nonstop. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, so we will get on to your last one. We'll do this one as the last one. It's yours that you told me. AOC got publicly chased down and harassed.
Yeah, well, according to Xander Hall, she's a victim. Because I mean, Xander Hall is, he's a shit lib, and so he defends shit lib positions. He's basically a dorky Bosch wannabe, and that's the position he's coming from.
Mhm.
And AOC, I mean, they're not stalking, but they're asking questions to AOC, and he's acting like, the almighty AOC, how dare anybody challenges her and all that. I mean, and it was funny seeing AOC lose her shit. So
Okay. Do you know what part you want to start?
begin at the beginning, and I can give you like a signal when the relevant parts in the beginning is no longer necessary to continue for viewers.
Okay. So this is him discussing the one video we actually showed either last week or the week before of AOC getting heckled by those people, asking her to say it right there that there's a genocide going on in Gaza, where she kind of yelled back at them. And so this is his Xander Hall's take on this.
Yes.
It's unfortunately a few days old at this point, and I was going to cover it when it was a little more fresh off the presses. But unfortunately, 2 days ago, I had my day off, my scheduled day off. Yesterday, I was supposed to stream and cover it, but then we had the mother of all OBS crashes. For my YouTube viewers that don't know, because you just watch on
Skip
YouTube
to
videos
1:30.
and maybe you don't
Okay.
watch streams. Anyway, this is the story in question. Has to do with AOC and the fact that many people on the left seem to be turning on her, particularly the very loud and outspoken types that are like, I'm not ever supporting a Democrat unless the US stops supporting Israel. Those types of lefties. The people who 4 years ago would have been Bernie or Busters. Well, before I get to that story, I want to talk about something different, because you see, this isn't talked about like at all for some reason, and this is one of the biggest stories that should be getting discussed by progressives and the left going into 2024. But the problem with that is it has to do with real politics, and you can pretty much look at the viewer count on any lefty content creator when they talk about electoral politics compared to like drama on the internet to see why not a lot of people know about what I'm about to discuss. And B, this is just not like it doesn't really come off as that exciting of a topic. And C, it doesn't fit a narrative that's really popular right now about the Democrats actively not caring about the Palestinians. This is the article in question. The Squad is about to fight for its political life. The war in Gaza has set the stage for a huge primary battle in 2024. Some of you might be sighing and rolling your eyes because I have read this article a few times before on stream, but many new people are going to be watching this video and this stream that don't know about this, and the more people that do know about it, the better, because it's going to help to put a lot of things into perspective. One of the biggest, bitterest, and most expensive political battles of the 2024 election cycle has emerged. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, AIPAC, so silent I, AIPAC, one of the most powerful, best funded influence operations in all of Washington, is planning to go all out to knock the famed Squad, the small group of highly visible and popular progressive legislators of color, most of them women, out of office. The most outspoken and unapologetically leftist contingent of the Democratic Party in national office, the Squad has been vocal in its criticisms of Israel's retaliatory assault on Gaza following the October 7th massacre of Israelis by Hamas. Members of the group have prominently pushed a ceasefire resolution in Congress. It now has 18 signatories. Their positions on the issue are hardly radical. A recent data for Progress poll found that 66% of Americans support a ceasefire, as do 80% of Democrats. But AIPAC has trained its attention on these members to make an example of them, and has spent heavily against a few of them before. AIPAC, quote, wants to make the statement of this cycle that no one is safe from their wrath, that if you speak out, you can be targeted no matter how popular or how many cycles of incumbent you are, said Connor Farrell, president of the progressive fundraising group Left Rising, in a phone call. It's extremely audacious. There are now 7 indisputable members of the Squad, blah, 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 blah. AIPAC has a turbulent history with them and progressives in general. In the 2022 midterms, the Israel lobby became the largest single-issue outside spender in the Democratic primaries, pouring in nearly $30 million via the Super PAC, the United Democracy Project, and millions more via the Democratic Majority for Israel PAC. It was an astronomical amount of money, mostly dedicated at knocking progressives out of the primaries, largely in open and redrawn seats, despite there being fewer vacancies in 2024. That money figure is expected to at least triple. So I could go on here, but this basically goes on to talk about how AIPAC plans. Close watchers now expect AIPAC to spend at least $100 million in Democratic primaries, largely trained on eliminating incumbent Squad members from their seats.
Okay.
So this is AIPAC, AIPAC, chat, not APAC, AIPAC. There's Israel is in that acronym, mind you. This is the Israeli government lobbying our government. They have outright admitted they are going to try to politically assassinate the Squad by dedicating insane amounts of Israel money to getting them out of office by supporting their rivals and making them lose their elections in the Democratic primaries for their seats.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 things you want to pull from this. The Squad, the most progressive representatives we have in our government, period, just simply put, are being targeted by one of the most powerful and well-funded lobbying groups in all of Washington because they have been so outspoken about what is happening in Gaza and in calling for a ceasefire and in trying to push motions for the U.S. to call for a ceasefire in Congress. Now, here's the thing. That shouldn't surprise you, right? Like, obviously, the Squad is very, critical of Israel, all that good stuff. It makes sense, right? Here's the thing, though. There is another group that is attacking the left, or not the left, that is attacking AOC right now. That's lefties who support Gaza. You see, the group of lefties who really, really don't give a fuck about real politics and aren't going to vote and never were going to vote are desperate to raise the bar for any elected Democrat beyond any attainable point, even if it means pretending that Democrat politicians haven't done things they've done. I mean, how many times have you seen Democrats, or not Democrats, lefties on Twitter saying that they would vote for Biden if he actually did something about student debt, despite the fact that literally, like I think a month ago, he signed an executive order to bypass Trump's Supreme Court to literally get rid of as much student debt as the president can feasibly get rid of with his power. Besides that, the Supreme Court blocks him if he goes any further. Like, he did as much as he possibly could do and is now pushing to basically, like, keep on doing that. Like, get rid of everyone's student debt in these, like, small chunks that he can get around the Supreme Court with, essentially. And yet, they, like, lefties on Twitter who don't want to vote for Biden will just make things up and say Biden's done nothing about student loans. Because I'm going to be really honest, guys. Most people on the left, like people on the right, are ignorant, and they are oftentimes willfully ignorant, and they are very filled with propaganda that's made to make them like believe they are smart and knowledgeable about topics, but in reality, all they know are talking points. For lefties, I find that like laziness is a virtue. I'm actually quoting the anti-work Reddit mod, by the way. Who remembers that when the anti-work Reddit mod went on Fox News and said laziness is a virtue? I genuinely believe that a lot of lefties unironically think that, and part of that is a lack of desire to do the base level of research necessary. Politics is boring and dry, which is why it's my job to make it interesting and like for you guys to like want to hear about politics from me, because otherwise you're probably not going to go read a dry ass article about what policies Biden has been up to passing in the last few months. But if you have been keeping up, you would know Biden's done an extremely good job. So when people like that on Twitter indicate that they don't think Biden has done anything about these things, it indicates to me, or I should say self-reports to me instantly, this is somebody who does not know anything about politics, like electorally speaking. Like they aren't reading the news, they aren't keeping up with policies and bills getting passed and getting pushed. They are absolutely just pretending to know politics. It's a big self-report, in my opinion. I pick up on it pretty easy. Like I know, like, you know, I read the news. I know what's going on. I know what actual policies Biden is pushing. So when a lefty says Biden's not doing anything about this, I know they get all of their news and all of their takes from like lefty Twitter accounts. You know, it's like, okay, I mean, you may be right about a lot of stuff, but you're not right about these things for the right reasons.
Is this
A good
it? Do we
example
keep
is the
going?
leftist
Yeah, we
mafia.
can.
They said yesterday
We
when-
can go ahead and we can kind of cut it short because we are kind of budgeting on time too. So, basically, you know, this is just a jab at the Bernie Bros, the Bernie or bust crowd, which and really is kind of it's kind of an attack on maybe our subsection of the left, those of us who were Bernie or bust or hyper Bernie Bros years ago. Many of us who don't, you know, who we have ourselves walked away from Bernie, but those are the people he's attacking, and you know, and let's face it, AOC she's scared of her own shadow, so she's scared of a big old mean AIPAC, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, when he's criticizing the left for criticizing the squad, when it comes to the squad, or when it comes to Bernie, comes to the Democrats, the only criticism that matters is from the left, not from the right, not from the center, the left, the real left. That is the only criticism that matters. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Xander Hall, his shit libiness, he can fuck himself.
All right.
Yeah. So, any thoughts?
No. I'm kind of iffy and wishy-washy on it. Like, I mean, I see like what you're saying, but then like I can also, there is some people on like the, you know, far left, like the progressive left, that sometimes are a little out of their rocker, don't do their homework, and then start blabbing shit too. So
I agree.
yeah, but yeah, no, I understand. I have no idea who the Xander Hall guy is, so this is the first time I've ever even
Oh,
heard of him or seen him or anything. So
this guy attacks. He's basically like Bosch. He punches left while pretending to be leftier than thou. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, he went and attacked Brianna Joy Gray about a year and a half ago. Horrible individual. I mean, he has this. He hates shoe on head. He just punches left. That's all he does is punches left. If somebody on the left that's high profile, he doesn't like it, he'll go and attack them. He'll attack Gray Zone. He attacks Jimmy Dore. I mean, this is the kind of guy he is. Very much like Bosch.
right. Okay.
Dylan Burns.
Interesting.
That's another one. He's in that category of shit libbiness, trying to pass for radical left.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never even heard of him before. So, and also on the AOC thing too, as well. I before I forget, like, you know, I don't see her. Obviously I see, you know, like I'm kind of disappointed in a lot of things that she's kind of flipped the script on after all the promises and the things that she was saying in her campaign and stuff. But at the same time too, I am very worried about APEC primarying the most progressive people that we actually do have, you know, like even if they haven't done that much, like at least we have some people in there too, like compared to everyone else that's in Congress or Senate. So to see AIPAC spending so much money to primary them to get them out so they can get their kind of people in really actually, like, you know, kind of scares me a little bit too, kind of still feels a little cooey to me. So
Yeah, I guess that might even explain why John Fetterman in Pennsylvania has kind of did a big old switch around on almost everything that he claimed that he was for, you know, recently. And of course, when many of us on the left send these people initially in there, they're not even doing the basics for any of us. I mean, I mean, when I think about how AOC, how terrible she is as a legislator, she did not do force the vote. She did not. I mean, she voted. She voted rightfully voted against funding of the Iron Dome, and then Nancy Pelosi pecked her into changing that vote. She voted for funding to indirectly put money in that and military aid into the hands of neo-Nazis in the Ukraine, that sort of thing. And she even voted against a Bernie Sanders bill in the U.S. Senate that was introduced in the House that would actually help these striking rail workers. Basically, she voted to bust a rail strike. I mean, what socialists worth their fiber votes to bust a rail strike in the United States?
Right.
She's been a disappointment through and through. I mean, I can't think of anything AOC's done,
right, but are we
now.
still going to be okay with APEC putting that much money into primarying her to get her out, though, to put their person in? Like, yeah, okay, she has done a lot, a couple of bad things or a lot of bad things, and I'm not happy with her either, but I really don't want another fucking like Nancy Pelosi in there. I really, really fucking don't. Like, I'm so sick of our country and a lot of the lefties okay with going even more centrist or right just because their person of choice isn't fucking perfect. That's what pisses me off too.
Yeah, to me, she's turning into Nancy Pelosi. That's how I see AOC.
She is. She absolutely is. But fuck if I'm going to have another fucking, I don't know, another Nancy Pelosi in that spot, like a legit ass Nancy Pelosi in AOC's spot,
and that's also a worry. That is also a worry. So I don't
Right.
know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is.
It's not Desert Mantis. I promise I'm not doing the lesser of two evils. I promise, I promise, I promise. I swear to you guys, I'm not falling for that. I promise on my life. I just get so
Jimmy's
sick
not.
and tired. No, I promise. I just get so tired of us going more and more right just because we're not getting the perfectedness. Like, I don't want to see AOC in the thing either. I would rather see somebody else better. But if they're gonna put another fucking Zionist supporter in that spot, dude, I'm gonna lose. I cannot deal with the shit that's going on in Israel and the complacency that we're having, and the fact that it's AIPAC doing all of this stuff is seriously like I'm losing my shit. Like, that guy, the military boy that lit himself on fire, like, he didn't have like a mental problem. Like, I feel that. Like, I think that stuff. Like, what the fuck can we do? Because it just keeps getting worse. Every day, every year since I became an adult with this like mindset of how this country is and this world is supposed to be from what I was taught, it just gets worse. And I keep thinking like every day it can't get worse. And it does. And it's just driving me insane. Like, fucking just leave AOC there for right now until we find somebody better. But please don't put anybody fucking worse. Please.
Yeah, it took me to 2022. I was critically
Yeah, I'm scared.
supportive. It just took me to 2022, and I understand your point, Jimmy. And to our audience, Jimmy is not sitting there defending AOC at all. This is not a
Fuck no.
defense. I
Nope.
totally understand where you're coming from, Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely, not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was like a Republican going against her and the Republican Party was putting up money, like that much money against her to, whatever, primary her or get her out of office, I do not care. I would not care not even one. It's the fact that it's AIPAC. I'm literally at my last nerve with those people.
I mean, look at what they did to Nina Turner in Ohio. It was not just the corporate Democrats, it was the corporate Democrats. It was Democratic majority for Israel, and it was the Republican Party. They all ganged up to put a stop to Nina Turner in that congressional district in Ohio. I think it's number 25 is the district, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so we got an uphill battle. For damn sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, no more. I'm done. I'll get off my soapbox now. What do you got going on this week?
Let's see. This week, well, today I was on the No Labels podcast with Chris Legion. So if y'all if y'all are not subscribed to his channel, please do so. I was interviewed there today. I'm hoping to stream if I get a chance to stream, and I guess we should let everybody know. I guess everybody knows already. Our new time is Tuesday.
Yes, this is our new time and place. From here on out, we will be doing it. So don't look for us on Friday because we will not be here.
Yeah, we're Tuesday now forever and ever and ever.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Until this cat decides to murder me in my sleep one day.
Oh my. Professor Lupin?
Yes, Professor Lupin or Pepe Le Mew.
Yeah.
Pervert, as I like to call him. All right, y'all. What I got going on, just check out my Twitch channel. I'll be probably streaming some gaming. I know we got the midnight show this Saturday with Warren again. Yeah, I think that's it. Just check out. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our Bragglands channel on Twitch and YouTube as well, so we can get that up and going.
Absolutely.
And that's it. Stay high, free Palestine, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Free Palestine, free Assange, free healthcare for all, and free speech.
There you go. Peace out, everybody.